Hello everyone, welcome to a new workshop. My name is Joshua and this is Rooftop. In today's workshop, we're going to be doing a bit of a 3D doodle art. Now, what do I mean by 3D doodle art? I don't mean by using 3D pens or anything of that sort. It will be a mix of course, some sketch pens, which we'll be using for the doodling part, and we'll be cutting out some bits and pieces and sticking them into a collage sort of way. Now, in this, we'll get to see it's going to be relatively simple. It'll be something creative, something different, and something that you could teach to your younger siblings or to your kids as well at home. It's something you can do really quick. Now for this, I will be using some origami paper. I have the colors already that I want to use ready. So I have blue and I have some off whitish color. And along with that, I have some masking tape or some paper tape as well. I have a pencil and then some sketch pens. All right, then let's get right into it. Okay, so as you can see the reference, what we can do is we can start off with the body. All right, so now for the body, what I will do is, looking at the reference, I will take a roughly the same size. So what I can do is I can maybe take off about 2 centimeters from this origami paper that I have. Now I'm using origami paper because it's relatively easy to find in colors, but I'm sure you get some A4 colored sheets as well. So you can use that to create a much bigger doodle art, in this case 3D doodle art. Okay, so this area we can cut. I'll take my scissor. I've got a very big scissor here. Then I can start cutting it. I'll try to make it as straight as possible. If you have a bigger scissor, it will be a lot easier to get it, in a straight line, or at least most of it. Just like that. Now we can take this part and keep it at the side. Then what I can do is I'll keep this here and I will take a sheet of white or off-white, brownish, khaki kind of color paper, and we can try to draw the nose of the dog first. So what I will do is, now assuming this is the body, so I want the nose to be, say, around this big. Yeah, this big should be good enough. So let's say this much. I will take this paper here and I will just keep it down like that. So I think from here till here. Okay, and now we can very roughly draw the shape of the nose. So the bottom part of the nose will be relatively flat. Take this here. Like that. So now for this I have some glue as well, because there will be some areas that we will stick, some areas that we will tape. And through the mixture of these two mediums, we will create the three-dimensional effect. Okay, so I have the nose ready here. Now what I can do is I can, since this is the nose, I can start drawing for the part right below the nose. You could say the chest area, like this, so that I can get the size more precise. I'll keep this to the side. And I think it would be almost the same height. So I think about here. This much should be fine. Or what we could do is we can cut this part first. This. Now what I can do is I can just cut this extra part of the paper out, because otherwise it will be a hindrance while I am trying to cut. It will keep coming in the way. Same for this as well. While I'm cutting, I will start turning the scissor. Like that. If you feel that there are any sharp corners, you can just cut them out. But while you're cutting them out, make sure you don't make any new corners on this. We'll keep it as round as possible. It doesn't have to be, super smooth lines. Okay. So let's say the nose is going to be here like this, and I can make this a bit lower, somewhere around there. Now what I can do is I can keep this paper here and bring it down. So I'll keep this paper. Now this part, the chest that is there below the nose, hides below it or behind it. So I'll put this paper slightly above the nose, and then what I can do is I can just mark out how big or how wide I want this area to be. Okay, now that I've drawn the lines downwards, let's make this part straight. And then get to cutting. Now this is not the exact length that we need, but by doing this it will be a lot easier to get the precise length. Now what I can do is I can start cutting this area. So while I'm pressing, I am turning the scissor as well. Like that. Now I can place the nose, say, over here, and put this part up as well. So let's say we wanted that much. Now I can draw a line there to decide where I want to cut. So So I'll put the nose back and put this part here. Okay, that looks good. So now I can start by sticking this part down. I'll put this, say, about here. So now the area where I drew, I will put glue in this area and put that part down. So I will take my glue. Just start applying it. Make sure that the edges are covered first, because if this does start coming out, it will always start from the edge. You can just hold this down. And then I'll, let's see if it is centered. Okay, so if you want to check if your paper is centered, you can look at the distance from each side. So if this distance is equal to this distance, then that means that it is relatively centered. Now I will put this down. Like that. Now what I can do is I can put the nose on top as well. I can put the nose there. Okay, or we can start off with the ear also. And switch at whatever paper I don't need, I'll keep it to my left. Whatever I need, I'll keep it to my right. So now for the ear, what I will do is I will keep it this way. Yeah, the paper is here, I'll keep it around this side like this. So I can see how big I want the ear to be. So if this is the nose over here, I'll keep it around this much. And I can draw the ear sticking out like that. And it will come down to, say, this area here. And curve it. I think we can make it a bit more pointy towards the end. And then we can start cutting this up. So whatever extra paper is there, I will try to remove that first. Okay, and now I can start refining the edges a little bit. So this is the part where I get picky and I try to take out whatever I don't need. Same thing here. Take out whatever extra paper is there. Now I can stick. No, so the ears, what I will do is I will take this and trace it onto another part or another portion so that both the ears are symmetrical, or at least as symmetrical as they can be. Like that. So there you can see. Now I will start cutting this part as well. So first I'll very roughly cut around it. And then I can start being a bit precise with it. Same thing here. So now we have both our ears, which we can tape to the sides like that. We have the two ears, and then we have the nose again, which will be taped. Now we can add the legs. So I'll put the ears together so I don't get them confused. And the ears there, the nose here. Or if you want, at the part where the pencil is, I can just write nose. And since these two are unmarked, I will know that they are the ears. Okay. Now we can start off with the legs. So I will keep this over here. It does come above it like that. And if you look at the reference, it will fall, see, right up until this area. And just make sure that this is straight. And I will cut this part. I'll put the same piece of paper here so that I have the exact measurements. With the pencil, I'll very lightly mark it. Like that. Maybe just a little bit longer. Okay. And then from here I can cut it straight. So now we have, move this aside. Oh, these are much closer. Okay, they overlap it, they come on top like that. Okay, so I can start by sticking this over here. So I will take my tape, and let's see. Bring this tape out like that. And go a bit closer. Okay, I'll take a tape. Let's see. Okay, this. Okay, so if your tape doesn't work like that. So one thing with masking tape, right, is if the glue tends to come out, because the paper is relatively thin. Okay, I'll put this onto this area here. I'll stick the tape onto this and then place it in a way that it overlaps it. So I'll place it like that. So if you see, that's where our tape is. Now what I can do is I can take the other part along with the tape, I'll take this tape and roll it. So this is my tape. I will roll it like this. And then stick it onto the back of the paper. And make sure that they are aligned when I do so. Just from the center I will press it so that from the sides it will still float upwards. Reduce this in size a bit. Okay. Now we can do these areas as well. So these two areas at the side will stick onto the paper. All right. So for that also, no, okay. So I can take any paper that I found. I'll just remove this extra part. And I can keep it here and see whether it will be enough for this side or not. So this will come right about there and that far. Just like that. And hold it down, I think a little further ahead. Yeah. So from here, it will, you can take it a bit higher from the corners. It won't be that high, it will come, say, until this side. Remove this part. Then we can start cutting this as well. Okay, and I can put this paper here also and cut another one out, because we have it on two sides, here and here, these two sides. So I will trace this very roughly like that. So whenever I need to cut an area, I'm always using the main body as a reference. Okay, now I can take my glue stick and make sure I put it evenly all over. And I can take this about there and put it down. I'll flip this over as well. Take the other area that I cut. I've shown you can take a piece of paper to use it below this so that you don't put glue on the table. Okay, like that. Just like that. Okay. Now we can see what we can do next. we'll make sure we finish all the parts we need to stick below and then move on to the areas like this. Now since over here there is nothing needed to be stuck, or just this area, I did that first and then I went for the legs as well. Now I think we can go for the nose. Now let's see if the nose is big enough. I think the nose is a bit small. So what I will do is I will take this over here, the nose, and we'll see how much more bigger do I want it to be. So a bit about that much, and from the sides also. Okay. Just about that big. And this part we can bring it down and have a pretty big curve. And then I can take my scissors as well. First I'll cut off the big areas. And then we can go for the actual cutting. Remove that. Like that. I think that's much better. Now I can take my tape, hold on. Okay, take my tape and roll it this way. I'll stick it to the center of the nose, so you'll have like a ring in that sense. And then while I am placing it down, make sure it is where I want it to be. And just very gently tap it down like that. Okay, great. Now I can do this eye also. I'll just get rid of this extra paper here. and I will place this right about here. And then I can start drawing where the eye could come. Somewhere about there. Bring this part to the corner. I think something like that should be good. So I'll just very roughly darken it. And then you can cut and test it out. So this is where the eye would come. Let me just look at the shape. I think if I bring it down like that, I think maybe I can just flatten this part a bit more. That looks good. Okay, I'll just smoothen out these corners. Here I have this nose here as well. No. I'll take my tape and then make it into a ring, and I will stick this. Oh no, we are gluing this, we're not taping it. You get a lot of sticky fingers because of this. Okay, now I can place this right about there and glue it down. Looking good so far. And what I can do is I can just very roughly draw the eye so that I know where I want the eye to be. Like that. Or maybe we can largen this a little bit. Yeah, I think that looks better. Okay. Now what I can do is I can take my black marker and draw the eye just like that. I can have my white marker as well. Not that there. And so now this will be just a very rough marking of where I want these elements to be. And then these are the ears. So before I put them onto that, I will take my markers and start drawing some designs in them. This. Same thing here also. You can thicken that a bit. Then add these dots as well. Like that. So I'll keep that there. And what I can do is I can do the nose also. Bring it down until there, and then from here we can have this nose. Put down like that. All right. And then for this area here also, now before we put the final pieces, I will start to cover up, or I will start to paint the areas that are going to go, below it, so that later on it's not that difficult. What you can do is you can also paint or design these areas or decorate them before sticking it. This area as well. In this part also, I can just give it this starry kind of effect. Add some dots here. Like that. this area also. Put that down there. Okay. Now what I can do is I can draw the eye. Okay. And we can draw the eye as well over here. So if I look at this, the eye seems to be about this big, right? So say something like that. I'll draw I can do it this way also. I can take my black marker and at the side or beside this, I can draw the eye like that. Same thing here as well. Now I will take my white marker and draw that there. Okay, then I'll take my scissor and start cutting this. Like that. Then I can place this over here. So I'll take my glue stick . make sure that we align the eyes properly. So I haven't pressed it down yet. Have a look, and that seems okay. I might need to rotate it a little bit. Yeah, I think that looks better. Just like that. And then I can take my tape. Okay, before I do that, I can take my dark blue here. Just start drawing polka dots. Like that. Maybe you can fill in a little more as well. This area here, what I can do is I can very roughly fill this part out first. Then I can add some sort of design like that. I'll cover this area. Like that. And then this half of the nose also. Bring this part down. Get some waviness into this. And then we can fill this up as well. Take my lighter blue color. You can have like a concentric type of design. that. And then I can stick this ear right there. If you see, we are almost done with a 3D doodle dog. Bring in some design in the eyebrows. In this area here, let's see, I can give it some wavy lines also instead. So you're free to give whichever design you feel comfortable with. Give it something like that also. And for the other ear as well, I can start doing designs like this. So whichever design you feel like taking a reference out of, you can do that. And for the rest, you can fill it in with your own design. This here, bring this part down. Same thing this side as well. Like that. If you feel that there is a little too much gap in between, you can please go back and fill it up. I'll take my tape and this much, this length is plenty. Make sure that the tape is not going out of it. Like that. Now if you have some darker colors also, it will help create a little more contrast to it. And then we can go for the feet. So the feet would be let's say around this size here, somewhere around that much. Then I can go for a very mushroom shape. And go for a mushroom shape, and then we can divide this and go for a much rounder one. Now we'll cut this part out. And then I will take the same piece and trace it onto another side or another sheet of paper. Again, I will cut this part out like that. Okay, so we have the two paws ready. I'll take this and I can just give it a sort of an outline like that. Make sure it is to the edge. And I can add some dots to this as well. Maybe some hollow, some filled. Like that. We'll take a tape again. And we can stick this one right here. And since it's very similar in color, I can give this a very subtle outline like that. And the same thing with this paw also. This one I can give it some straight lines. Or maybe like a variety of different lengths. And then we can connect it in the middle. Start gluing this. Oh, tape it. We will be taping it, not gluing it. So this tape can be kind of in between, it can wear out as it is made out of paper. So if at all you do buy such a tape, make sure you buy a relatively new stock. And I can take this one here and stick it down like that. Alright, in this sense. And then we can finish off with the tail. Now the tail, you can make it any length that you like. I'll close my glue. I think the tail I can elongate it a bit, yeah. Get rid of that part. Remember, get rid of the extra paper first. And then you can start actually getting down to the cutting. And put there, and then this part here. Okay, on this drawing, you can just erase it since I want this side to be on top. So I'll put the tail like this over here. Maybe that's a bit too long. I can curve this upwards a little bit. So make this part a bit thinner. Then as I'm going upwards, I can start okay. Keep it that way, or we can just what I'll do is I'll take this upwards like that. Same thing from here also. Yeah, that should be a good enough length. At the tip of the tail, and add a bit of design like that. You can add some dots here. Take a bit of this glue and put it at just the tip of this tail. And then I can place it right there. There you go. And there we have a 3D doodle art. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed that live workshop. Now every day at 12:30 and at 5 p.m. we have new workshops where we come up with something different. So thank you all for joining me on this YouTube live. And for more unique content on Indian art, you can have a look at our website Rooftop or our Rooftop app. You can download it and have a look at the variety of Indian art that we bring out to the world. So I hope you enjoyed today's workshop, and I will see you tomorrow.